Viewers, it's 2 years on since the dastardly attacks took place in the Nova Music Festival. Over 1,200 people across different nationalities were butchered by Hamas. They came through those parachutes, came inside the Nova Music Festival, butchered 1,200 people and took over 200 hostages. Since then, the war has been raging on, and it's been 2 years. Their lives have been lost on both sides, even as efforts are being made to bring back some of those hostages who are still feared to be there in those dungeons inside the tunnel network constructed by Hamas deep inside its territory. 20 of those hostages are alive, 28 are dead, and those dead bodies are with Hamas. Those are the only bargaining chips that Hamas still has. But as far as the big issues are concerned, let's tell you why exactly this episode today on India Global is going to focus on the three important aspects that we will now tell you. First and foremost, what really has happened as far as 2 years are concerned, the big milestones. Why is it that this is the biggest attack in recent history in Israel? And also, why is it that as far as this war is concerned, no peace solutions have been found so far? That's the first important thing that I'm going to talk about on the show. The second important aspect is what all has been really achieved in terms of those milestones with regard to peace, and are we probably the closest in terms of peace? And the third important aspect that I'm going to be talking today on India Global is what happens if any of those peace talks actually fail. Those are the scenarios. We're going to put that out for you viewers. But first up, let's get you what exactly are the sticking points that exist right now. There are talks that are taking place in Cairo. These are talks that are being negotiated through Egypt. This is probably the closest that the world is coming in terms of a possible peace scenario. On your screens are some of those points that we are putting out. First and foremost, the sticking points. Remember, these talks have been going on for some time. They've broken through in the past as well, but probably they're the closest right now. First and foremost, let's get you the sticking points, and then I'm going to tell you more in terms of why today marks an extremely important pivotal moment as far as this war is concerned. The sticking points, first and foremost, the hostage release structure. 72-hour timeline has been given. Now, why is it unrealistic? Because 28 people are dead. Now, Hamas says that it needs more time to be able to get those dead bodies, and which is why it feels that this 72 hours is not possible. Second important aspect, disarmament of Hamas. Now, Israel has been very clear in saying that it needs to get the Hamas to be completely disarmed, because who knows, they're going to do this all over again. Remember, they actually have a very elaborate tunnel network which still remains. Despite 2 years of bombardment, that tunnel network hasn't been demolished. So unless and until Hamas completely disarms itself, then this is a deal breaker for Israel. Third important aspect of why these talks are not going to be so easy, governance of Gaza. That's the third important point. What is the role of Hamas in ruling Gaza? Well, Israel says nothing. It cannot have any role, because if it does, then the entire peace talks falls apart. And last and important part is Israeli withdrawal. Now, there's a vague wording in terms of withdrawal, and there's not a clear timeline when that withdrawal actually takes place, and which is what Hamas says is actually another issue which could be deeply disturbing in terms of finding any lasting peace in this region. We're going to put that entire jigsaw puzzle in place for you, but I'm going to play out this report, viewers, because once you talk about the peace aspect of it, let's come to camera one. When you talk about the peace aspect, and when you talk about what are the several aspects that are there, one needs to keep in mind the human cost of this tragedy. And this report tells you exactly what all has been lost in terms of people's lives, livelihood, houses, and dreams being completely shattered. Take a look.
Two years after the October 7 attack, Israel and Gaza remain bound by deep scars and demanding questions. Scenes like these are reminders of a nation's struggle to rebuild, to remember, and to ensure it never happens again. Across the border, Gaza endures fresh turmoil. Even today, smoke and uncertainty hang in the air as leaders inch closer to new peace proposals.
היא לתחום את המשא ומתן הזה בימים בודדים. ושמעתם את הנשיא טראמפ הערב. הוא אמר בבירור, לא נסבול לו תרגילי דחייה, משיכת זמן או התחמקות מצד החמאס. עכשיו, בשלב השני, החמאס יפורק מנשקו והרצועה תפורז. זה יקרה או בדרך מדינית לפי תוכנית טראמפ, או בדרך צבאית, על ידינו.
Resolute, Israel's leadership pledges to reclaim hostages and push for lasting security. A promise echoed by families in Tel Aviv's restless streets. The pain of separation gives rise to protest. Mothers, fathers, and children standing firm in their fight for answers.
For the moment, what I think is that we all have to focus on President Trump framework on clause 1. That all the hostages will be released in 72 hours with no delays, as President Trump asked for. I think that for the building the international security control in Gaza.
In Gaza too, heartbreak persists, with families uprooted and aid workers racing against time to save lives. In crowded hospital corridors, the cost of war is counted in the lives of children and resilience of the exhausted staff. Global voices urge reason. At the UN, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas moves to distance his people from violence while renewing calls for justice. Humanitarian agencies plead for ceasefire, with urgent appeals echoing from Geneva to Jerusalem.
You've got new mothers and vulnerable newborns who are lying on the floor, hospital corridors. I sat with 3 premature babies who were sharing a single oxygen source. They share it 20 minutes each. The other 2 children cry whilst the third child gets that oxygen for 20 minutes.
As the world rallies for peace, powerful images emerge. Voices united for Gaza's future. For the people of Israel and Gaza, the memory of October 7 endures. But with every protest, every negotiation, hope lives for change. And the possibility that by next year, headlines will tell a story not of war, but of peace. Mohammad Ghazali, NDTV Bureau Report.